Hello everyone, this is Iqbal. My camera's given up. What's happened now? Hello everyone, if you can hear me, can you please type a comment because my camera has failed. I'm not quite sure. I've had a lot of trouble with this OBS software. It worked initially and then it's causing a lot of problems. It was working last night when I tested it a number of times, and this morning is typical. Hi Big Nose 911. I'm sorry about the lack of picture. I hope you can hear me. If you can, please type a comment. My camera has failed, so it's slightly a bit of an issue, but we can talk and continue with this live stream. If you have any questions, please ask. Hi Tony, camera failure mate. If you can hear me, please type a comment and we'll try and continue with without the camera. If not, I'll have to sort it out and come back again. I'm not quite sure what the issue is, but for us to proceed with this, I need some sort of interaction with the viewers. There are about 7 people watching. I can only see 2 participants, Big Nose 911 and Bonsai by Tony. Tony's got a channel, and just turn the lights on and you'll be fine. Very funny, Tony. Yeah. Believe me, the lights are on. I've got studio lights, I've got table lamps, and I've got a nice bonsai in the background for you all to see. But sadly, the camera's given up. I'm not quite sure. It's coming up with an error message. It was working fine yesterday. I love it, Tony. You've got a good sense of humor. Now, where are all the guys from LBS? I scheduled this particularly for them. It's the Lahore Bonsai Society members in Lahore. And we're trying to get to know them. Are any of you around LBS? There's about 8 of you, but I can only see 2 in the participants list, which is the Big Nose 911 and Tony, my mate Tony, Bonsai by Tony. He's got a nice little channel, and let me check out Big Nose. I don't know what if Big Nose has a channel. Let me just see. If I can check you out. Right here, yeah. I'm just having a quick look at Big Nose 911. Aha. Fallout for Base. Fallout Base open concept. Tried to make this without the wasteland feel of the game. Looks like Big Nose 911 is into gaming. And yeah, that's good. Alright, Tony, I'm going to go offline for a few moments and reboot the computer. I don't know why I didn't think of that. Thanks, mate. Catch up shortly. I'm going to stop that now. Right, folks, we are in business. Okay, folks. I think, Tony, your suggestion was an excellent. Sometimes it's very simple, yet we don't think of it. I don't know. It's just pressure, trying to fix things and not finding the way. We are in business now, and it's working. But I've lost 6 people. Never mind, we can carry on. Let me see who's around. I'm going to go to have a look at the. Right, Alex. Hi, Alex. Great to have you here. Hi, Alex. How are you doing, mate? Nice to have you here. And I've just managed to restart the stream thanks to Bonsai by Tony. The camera wasn't working, and the solution was simple. He suggested reboot the computer and start the stream again, and that worked. His first suggestion was to turn the lights on, which I thought was very funny because we had a black screen. Okay, so I scheduled this for the guys in Lahore Bonsai Society, and to get to know them. I'm fairly active in their group, and quite a lot of them were going to attend, but no sign of them. I think there may be some confusion on maybe on the time, but the time was UTC plus 5, which is the right sort of time for them. Anyway, as we are here, Tony, you want to talk about anything, buddy? Alex, you have any questions? And I'll try and sort of keep this stream going, but I need some sort of guidance from you guys as to what we should be talking about and what you'd like to hear from me. Do you like the, oh no, the wrong way. I'm still not used to it. There we are. Where is the, yeah, that one. That's a large bonsai, which I made from a nursery stock. And what I try to do is, every time I do a live stream, I have a different tree in the background. But you can see that tree being made into a bonsai. Oh, Alex, 12 years old and love bonsai trees. I have pine tree that I'm growing from seed, and when it gets bigger, then I'll try and make a nonasia tree. Right. I don't know what a nonasia is. Alex, you're going to have to explain it to us. It's wonderful that at such a tender age you've got into bonsai. Right, the time here is 20 past 7 in the morning. I am in London in UK. Right, getting back to Alex, I think it's wonderful, Alex. The bonsai, right? And you're going to make it into a bonsai, right? That makes sense. It's a typo. Yeah, the pines are quite easy to grow and look after. And if they're native to you, then they're even easier. They require very little extra care. And where are you from, Alex? Where do you live? Which country? Right, the stream is growing. We are getting more people in. Let's have a look. Can you please put your type in if when you join the stream, if you can type put in your city and country. Oh, Jersey, New Jersey. Wow, you are up early or you're up late. Must be what midnight in Jersey. Does your mom know you're up on your computer? It's very late for a 10-year-old. Anyway, it's very nice of you to join in. Oh, 2 a.m. Wow, I am impressed. So, what else do you have, Alex, in addition to your pine bonsai tree? Do you have you made any trees from nursery stock into bonsais? And I see on my screen that there are about 7 people watching. I don't know why some of them are not showing up on my feed, but as you join in, if you could please type in where you are from. I seem to have lost Tony. Well, Alex, if you want to learn bonsai, you have come to the right place. And also, yeah, the way to learn, you've come to the right place, but the other thing that you've got to do is get some cheap material. If you can get hold of some very cheap nursery plants and try and follow what I'm doing and make them into bonsais. You may kill a few when you start, but that's inexperience. That's the price you pay for tuition and for learning. And but use very cheap material so that if you kill a few, it's not the end of the world. But you will only learn by practicing. That's what I do. Even now, I work on other people's trees, and that gives me lot more practice. And the more you practice, the better you will get at it. And if you have any questions, watch my videos and always put a little comment. And if you've got nothing to say, just put a little smiley face, and I will know that you visited my channel. And who else has joined? Let me have a look at Karen Davis from Idaho, USA. I've tried to make bonsai from a small juniper. Hi, Karen, and did you succeed with your attempt to make a bonsai from a juniper? Junipers are not the easiest of trees to bonsai. I advise people to leave junipers for when you're more experienced. And even Alex, the pines are more for the experience, but don't be put off by that. You've already started one. They're not difficult to look after, and you can bonsai them, but they are a little bit tricky. Start with local trees, which are species which grow locally, Karen. And Alex, you also get some more of the local species. Buy stuff from garden center, cheap material, and make them into bonsai. It's faster to make bonsai trees out of nursery stock than to grow them from seeds. And again, when you come to repotting, do that in the springtime. Springtime is best. If you repot any other time, I repot throughout the year. And what it needs is extra care to make sure that it doesn't die, because ideally springtime anyone can repot, and even if you have never done it before, because a tree is dormant, you can't hurt it, you can't damage it. But in the growing season, when you repot, we are basically pruning the roots, and it's like a human being having half his or a third of his intestines cut out. And so the trees need what I call intensive care treatment, and they have to be put in complete shade for 3 weeks, no feeding, no fertilizer, and water twice a day. And that way the roots get established fairly quickly, and 3 weeks after that it can be brought out to wherever you normally keep it. Now, who else have we there? Karen, how is your juniper doing? Is that the first one that you tried to try to bonsai? If you give me some feedback, and I can advise you a little bit further. And Mash, if you've got any other questions, please pop them in, and I will give you some tips on how to speed up your learning process and what else you should be doing. And I'm waiting for, there's about 9 people. I've got 2 computers. I've got this Mac on which I'm live streaming, and then I've got my laptop on the left where the live chat is. So if I look away, I'm trying to read the chat. So I'll quickly catch up. I'm going to have a quick look at the chat. Right. Mash, I bought a little pine tree and I tried to make a bonsai tree and I killed it. Nash, what tree is in the back? Ah, right. Okay, so you mean this tree? I'm still struggling with it. Yeah, you mean that tree? Yeah. Whoops. I still can't get used to this. Right. It's that tree, isn't it? It's the tree that tree you're referring to. Yeah, that's a larch. I made a bonsai. I had it in a nursery pot for many years, and I basically wired up the trunk and put some movement in the trunk. Before that, it was dead straight, and left it in the nursery pot. And then last year, I think it was time to make a bonsai, and it had lots more branches and foliage. It wasn't a bonsai, but it was ready to be made into a bonsai. And there is a video where I show the process from the tree coming out of the nursery pot into the bonsai pot that you see it now. And also a lot of the branches were thinned out, a little bit of wire put in. So that's what that is. It's a European larch, Mash. I hope that helps your question. Right, I've got a comment here from Karen. My first bonsai was a geranium plant. It was cheap. It turned out rather well. I think the juniper is still alive. Great. I think with the juniper, just make sure that you keep it in full sun. And the pots are quite small. And if I'm not familiar with Idaho, but I've traveled quite extensively in the US, East Coast, starting from New York right down to Florida Keys. Key West is the furthest of the Keys, and then West Coast, and then places like Texas, San Antonio. But if Idaho is very, very hot in the summer, then you may have to water it twice, or even 3 times, because that's what I had to do here in the UK last year. In July, August, it was very, very hot. And I ended up watering twice, once in the morning, once in the evening. And in fact, one of my English elms, I came back home in the evening to, before starting to water, as I came out into the nursery, the elm, all the leaves had turned completely yellow. Just goes to show the amount of damage that can be done in just one day. The pods dry out, and the feeder roots, which are thinner than our hair, they then dry out, and immediately the tree basically stops sending any more water up to the leaves, and the next thing to go is the leaves. And if I watered it immediately and moved it into a shady location, and it took at least a couple of months for it to recover. It has recovered, and I've repotted it, and there is a video on it which I'm in the process of releasing. And who else has joined us? Let me have a look at the chat stream. James, good morning, James. North Dakota, US, great. Winters are very cold. Low can reach -40. Wow. Despite this, I'd like to start a Japanese maple, probably from nursery stock. Any tips overwintering? Right. Overwintering, you have to, firstly, maples are very good for beginner trees. They don't need any extra care or attention except for making sure that you adequately water them. And if you are in such a cold place, -40, wow, that is cold. And the most we have here is maybe -10, and we think and that's very rare. Generally, the worst it is about maybe -3, 4, and very, very rare for it to get to -10, very, very rare. And even at -3, 4, we think it's cold. But -40, now that is cold. Maples you will do very well, and that goes for Mash and Karen as well. Get hold of some nursery stock maples, and you can start with the cheapest ones going and make them into bonsais. And for overwintering, you have to spray them. I'm not quite sure. If you leave a comment on one of my videos, James, I will get back to you. And the other thing that you have to do is, if you can place them, there's a chap in America, excuse me, there's a chap in America called Appalachian Bonsai. Again, if you can't find his channel, leave a comment and I'll give you the link. Now, he's got a video about overwintering, and one of the things he does is to cover the pots up with mulch and try to protect from frost. And I do know here in the UK, some of my friends up north in Scotland, north of England, where it does get very, very cold, spray the trees. So I will let you have what it is that the trees are sprayed with. The other thing that the trees can benefit from, James, is overwintering, is to place them where they are not exposed to a wind tunnel effect. By wind tunnel, I mean where the wind sort of blows very harshly, and if you've got a alleyway between your house and the next house, or I don't know how close the next house is, now that becomes a wind tunnel in winter. And what the wind does, the wind blows through is very strong and is very harsh, and it sucks the moisture out of the branches. Here in the UK, I have lost, every winter I lose between 1 and 2 trees, or sometimes 3. Last winter I lost a very, very nice Japanese maple, quite a thick trunk, about 2.5-inch trunk. Fortunately, it's just the top part of the tree that has died. The bottom 2.5-3 inches is still alive, and that's where the new growth is. And I will make a video of that tree, and what I'm going to do is do a trunk chop and make it into a sumo. And why, if you don't know why it's called a sumo, because it's short and fat, just like the Japanese sumo wrestlers. So that's something which I'm going to do with the tree that I partially lost. So James, even here in the UK, we can lose trees. I've got about 350 trees, and to lose one or part of one is okay. I can live with that. Now I'm going to have another look at the question streams, and let's see what else is coming. Bonsai Moldova. Wow, great for you to join. Now, Bonsai Moldova has a YouTube channel. He is into bonsai and he's recording what he's doing. Bonsai Moldova is recording his work on his bonsai trees and is putting those videos up in his Bonsai Moldova channel. Do check him out after this stream. Again, he has started. He's been doing bonsai for a short period of time, and he's becoming quite good at it. Right, great to have you in the house, Bonsai Moldova. Pop any more questions you have. Let me have another quick look at the questions that are coming in. Right, let me just go back to, is it Xi? I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Xi Mash, I'll call you Mash, it's easier. Mash has a question. What is the difference of a bonsai and a tall tree? And can you make a tall tree into a bonsai? Now, Mash, absolutely. In fact, we trunk chop, and to create a taper, if you are, let's go back to the maples that some people want to make into bonsai. You let it grow, and then you trunk chop it. For example, the tree that you're looking in the background, if that was a maple, I would trunk chop it to the where the first set of branches is, and then let it grow for another couple of years, and then do another trunk chop, about leaving just 2 to 3 inches above the first set of branches, and then let it grow for another couple of years, and that is how you develop a taper in the trunk. And every time you do a trunk chop, any new shoots that come out from the side, you wire it up and you create a new leader. So you can trunk chop. In fact, Mash, there is a video, if you can make a note of this, it's called the Heathrow Bonsai Show 2016. And in it, there's a chap, he's got a Dawn Redwood. And I forget his name, it's quite a tall tree. And I interviewed him, and he explains where they got the tree from. They bought it from a nursery in south of England, and as soon as they bought it, the tree was very, very tall, I don't know, about 25, 30 foot tall, and they chopped it down to about 4.5, 5 foot. And the nursery was horrified as to why they had done that. And it took them a couple of years to what the tree was, October last year, which is in my video. In fact, the collected material is, I've got a few videos on collected material. There are some privets. If you see those, these are hedges which are made into bonsai trees. Basically, we collect the material during the spring period and plant it in a training pot, large training pot, and then let it grow for a couple of years, and then start working and styling it. And the chopped trunks are then carved to make it look like the tree had been struck by lightning. And they do make stunning bonsais. Yes, I hope that answers your question. There's a lot more, but for now that'll do. And if you join the live stream again and raise this subject again, and I will continue from where we are leaving off. Let me see who else we have and what other questions have come in. I'm going to have a quick look at the my laptop where the live chat is. Be right back. Right, let's see. James, also if I buy larger nursery stock, will it back bud after a trunk chop? If so, what is the best time of the year to do this? Right, James, yeah, as I said, there are some trees that back bud quite easily, and there are some that won't. The junipers, pines will not back bud. They only will produce new buds where the green needles are, and they won't back bud. If you remove a branch, they won't back bud. So I wouldn't. I'd be careful how and where you do the chops in pines and junipers. Now, for the deciduous trees, most of them do back bud. The larch behind me, that back buds. I have beech trees, they back bud. I'm trying to think. I've got copper beech, that back buds. I've got hawthorns, they back bud, and there's a video out shortly where I have done quite a lot of work on this hawthorn and private's back bud, blackthorn back buds, maple's back bud, jade, crassula, they back bud. Now, there are many trees that back bud, but as a general rule, the pines and junipers, they are the ones that won't back bud. The only buds that would appear if you chop a very fast growing sort of what is it called, the candles, then leave some green needles on it, and new candles will appear, will back bud from where the greenery is. You won't get any back buds where there are no needles and there is no greenery. James, I hope that helps with that one. Now, anyone who hasn't put a comment in, please at least let us know where you're from. And Mash, how long have you been doing bonsai? Oh, not long. I started about 6 years ago, and I had a lot of lessons, and every Saturday I would have a lesson, and then Sunday I would practice on the trees. And initially I would buy cheap trees, and one of the first things I did was make a beech forest, which I still have. And again, that was quite cheap and cheerful, starter trees, I think 10 or 11 trees. And after that, there's various other nursery plants that I purchased, and I made them into bonsai trees. So it's only been about 6 years, but it depends how passionate you are. I got addicted very early, and every day I wanted to do something to the bonsai trees after I came from work. Every weekend, Saturday I would spend all my day having lessons, and Sundays I would spend going to the nurseries, buying plants and making them into bonsais, or buying trees which were already bonsais, because I wanted to come out of the house into the garden and look at trees which were bonsais, as opposed to little sort of nursery plants which were being made into bonsais. So that was a good thing, and if you can afford it, just get at least one one reasonable bonsai tree and then make others. And I used to get inspiration from the two initial bonsai trees that I had, that I purchased. One was quite big, I think about maybe in about 20-25 inch tall, and another one was about 18 inches tall, and both were Chinese elms. And again, shaped like the one you see, here. I can never get this. Ah, there it is. Right, shaped like this one. It'll take me a little while to get used to it. It's a mirror effect, and so that's how I started, Mash. And you've got age on your side. You're 10 years old, and growing from seed can be fun, and it takes an awful long time. But they are the trees that turn out absolute stunners because you control how they grow, which direction they take, the trunk movement, the branch selection process starts very, very early. I have purchased some bonsai trees grown from seeds, and I've got some which are about 37, 38 years old. And one of them is a Nagasaki crabapple tree. Again, there's a video on that. It's a show tree, and you should be able to find it. And the other is a beech group that I have worked on, but there is no video yet. It's work in progress, but you always see it in the background when I'm working. It's behind me in the background. That's a beech group. That's about, again, 37, 38-year-old grown from seeds. And you will see this is what you can achieve. It does take a long time, and there's a complete history of the beech tree group. And what I'm going to do is try to include the photos of the development of that group in a video, along with the actual video that I made, which will be finalized and posted. We worked on the tree, Wojak and myself, a few weeks ago, and that is yet to come. So that's something we look forward to, Mash. So those are the trees grown from seeds. Now I'm going to catch up. Let's see who else is here. Still dealing with Mash's next question. Do you have oak trees in the UK, and have you ever made a bonsai out of a oak? Mash, that's an easy one to answer. Yes, I have quite a few oak tree bonsais, and go back and look for playlists of oak trees videos. There are a number of oak trees I have. Some are still a work in progress. They have been made into bonsai, and they are being refined. And then there is another one which is fully established, complete, and we are now into just maintenance. And yes, we have oak trees here. They grow quite naturally. They're from little acorns into great big oak trees. And also I have in my garden, I saw 3 little oak trees. They were literally about a couple of inches tall, and I basically marked them with bamboo sort of sticks so that I didn't want them taken out. And sometimes other people come and help out with my gardening, and I didn't want these oak trees to be mistaken for weeds. Now they're about 15 inches tall, and in the ground they grow much faster. And if you want to fatten the trunks, then plant them in the ground. And before you do that, dig up a hole, place a ceramic tile, remove the taproot, and then plant your tree into the ground on the ceramic tile, and cover it up with soil, water it, and that way the trunk will fatten much faster than in a bonsai pot. And when you lift the tree, you can lift it very easily, and you can trim round the ceramic tile, and you end up with a nice round radial pattern for the roots. and that's what you really want. So that I hope answers your question, Mash, about the oaks. Now, Bonsai Moldova has a question. Do you ever make the de-infection of places where you cut the branches? Um, no, Bonsai Moldova, I don't. The only thing that I do is make sure that the tools are disinfected and cleaned after every time after I finish, to make sure that the next time I use the tools, it doesn't transfer anything unpleasant from one tree to the next. And also, if I remove a very big branch and the tree weeps, then I would use a wound paste to seal that wound. And sometimes if the wound is big, and even if it doesn't weep, I still, even if if I remove a big branch and the wound is big, and the wound, it does not weep, I still use the wound paste because it can start to dry out, and it's very difficult to tell how far back it will dry out, and if part of the tree will die as a result of that. So if the wound is big, then I would use wound paste to seal it so that it doesn't lose any moisture, it doesn't dry out. And let me have another look at the chat stream and see what's coming in. Nougatron, what resources do you use for botany plant growth information? I have, Tron, I have Reader's Digest tree identification guide, and basically that is it. And most of my knowledge comes from the lessons that I had, and I still go to bonsai classes from time to time to refresh my, make sure that my skills are still up to date and I haven't fallen into any bad habits. It's very easy to fall into bad habits, and then to rectify those takes quite some time. And the important thing is not to fall into any bad habits. Follow good practice. By all means, push the boundaries. I do that with my trees. Try something new. Don't be afraid to try something new. It's your tree. Forget what other people think about it. If you like it, that's all that matters. And you shouldn't care about what anyone else says about your tree. There are some rules to follow, but if you follow the basic rules and then follow your instincts, I will give you my thoughts on the look and feel of the trees. And before that, to finish off Tron's question, about the knowledge, the botanical, the horticultural aspect of bonsai. Now that, as I said, comes from the lessons I have, the classes that I've had, one-to-one sessions that I've had with the people who I learned from. And also, it's very good to join your local bonsai club. I belong to Middlesex Bonsai Club here in London, and they meet once a month, and the members there, the older members, have an incredible amount of experience, and they're ever so helpful. And so that's a very, very useful resource, and it's a gold mine of information. If you have to do research, it will save you hours of research just going along to a local bonsai club, joining it, and ask the older members questions. And they always welcome newcomers, and they are incredibly helpful. So I hope that answers your question, Tron. Let's have a look at, what I don't know is, where are you from, Tron? Can you pop into the chat the city and the country where you're from, so I know who are the people who are in this live stream. But let's have a look. I'm going to have a quick look at the what else is coming in on the chat. Now, Tron has, right, there's another comment from Tron. I have an awesome English oak tree bonsai. Yeah, great to hear that, Tron. They make amazing bonsai trees. And the trick to keep the leaves small is the oak trees tend to have bigger leaves, and they over time they gradually get smaller, but they're still not small enough. And the trick with that is to, as the new leaves appear, just remove the very big leaves. So you'll always have small leaves, but never defoliate it. You are not doing any favors to the trees. A lot of people completely defoliate and without knowing why they are doing it. They do this in Japan because they prepare the trees for the show, and they would defoliate maples at least twice or three times in the summer months before the show, so that the new leaves are very, very small when they put the trees in the shows. But that's not doing the tree any favors. So if you defoliate, always do partial defoliation, and then when new leaves appear, then you do it in stages. But for oak trees, never completely defoliate it. Just take out, defoliate the few big leaves at a time, and the tree then looks great. It doesn't look artificial. It still looks very natural. It doesn't look like you've removed the leaves. Nobody will be able to tell, and yet you have small leaves. Right, let's have another look at what's coming in. Tron has another question. I've heard Elmer's glue is just as good as wood paste. True or false? In fact, you can use all sorts of things for as long as it doesn't damage the tree. I don't know what Elmer's glue is, but I have seen people use putty, and putty in fact gets hard and then falls off. But by that time the wound has dried and healed, so there's no risk of losing any more moisture from that wound. So as long as it keeps the wound sealed and there aren't any nasty chemicals which can damage the wound or the tree, then it should work. Let me have a look what else is coming in. I see Mash has a comment. I have a oak tree from September of 2015, and I have kept it in a pot in my house, and it's not growing. It stopped growing 1.5 years ago, and I would be best to put it outside. Yes, I think, Mash, the problem is oak trees, basically all trees belong outdoors. And it's a myth that it's an indoor tree. Why we call them indoor trees is because they come from warmer countries where they don't have winters or very mild winters, and they're not winter hardy. And if you leave them outdoors in winter, they would die. So for that reason, we have trees which are called indoor trees in the West. The oak definitely doesn't matter how cold it gets, it's not an indoor tree. It is an outdoor tree, and that is, I'm surprised it's still alive. Normally, if you bring an outdoor tree indoor, it would die. It's like the tree, the larch you see behind me. That's an outdoor tree, but you can bring an outdoor tree indoors for a couple of days. At exhibitions, I take outdoor trees and they are indoors for 2 days, and when the exhibition is over, they come back and they go back outdoors again. So Mash, you'd be better off putting that tree outside, and also if you follow the method I described with the ceramic tile and put it in the ground in your garden, I think, no, you call it backyard. Yeah, so if you put it in the ground in your backyard using the ceramic tile method, it would do quite well. I don't know how warm it is, but generally this is done around anytime from, in UK, we would do it anytime from November when the trees go into dormancy until about March when they wake up and start growing. But you could get away with it if you do it quickly and then water it at least twice a day for the next 2 to 3 weeks. I hope that's helpful, Mash, and do let me know how you do with your oak tree. If you plant it out, it will grow much faster and the trunk will thicken quite fast. I hope that helps. Right, let me have a look what else is in the live stream, and I'll try and answer those. Right. Oh, Tron, thank you. You're from Pittsburgh. Is that Pennsylvania? PA, Pennsylvania, right. I have a couple of sisters out there and just on the outskirts of Philadelphia, New Jersey. And looking at the next. Right, Mesh. Now, you said Alex has put a comment. Also, I put oak trees outside and animals have killed it. What's the best way to protect it if I do put my oak tree outside? Okay, the way you can do that, Mesh, is to surround it, put stakes and then put a wire mesh around it. That will prevent the deers and other animals from, excuse me, that will stop the animals from having a go at your oak tree. That's the best way of describing it. That's what the local authorities do when they plant trees. They would surround it with a like a cage using sticks which are held together by wire, and then wrap it around the tree, leaving enough space for air to get through and light to get through. And so that's the best way you can protect your tree, outdoor tree. Oh, Hirsch, hello. Hirsch is in the house. Good morning to you. Hirsch has a channel. I do watch Hirsch's videos from time to time. Yeah, good to have you in the house, Hirsch. And do ask any questions you have. Also, you have been to my stream before, but I forget your name and where you're from. So if you could pop that in, that'd be extremely helpful. Then we have Jeffrey's just joined. Good morning, Jeffrey. Nice to have you in the house. And Jeffrey's comment is, I wonder how your restyled larch is doing. You restyled in your last video. Nice job. On what challenging tree, by the way. Jeffrey, you are in luck. I will try to get this right. You see this tree? Yeah, this tree, that's the larch. Yeah, there we are, got it. That's the larch that I restyled and made into a bonsai. This was a tree that I basically made into a bonsai, and there's a second tree which I cleaned up. I'm not sure whether you're referring to the second tree or the first one, which was made into a bonsai from a nursery plant. So the tree that you're looking at in the background is the larch, which was taken out of a bonsai pot and made into a, it was taken out of a plastic nursery pot and made into a bonsai tree. And in that I've basically used a serrated knife to cut through the roots, and but some people thought that was very aggressive And but there you are in the background. You can see it is kicking, it's alive, it's doing well. And I will do an update video. And for your information, Jeffrey, every time I do a live stream, I bring in a different tree to display. And next to it is, you can't probably see it, there's a very, very tiny figure of a Chinese farmer fisherman. I hope that answers your question. And let me catch up with any other questions. Tron, any tips for growing dogwood, and what are some bad habits you often see or have learned from? Dogwood, is that, can you tell me, Tron, can you tell me the other name that dogwood is known by? I've got a complete mental block, so that'd be helpful. Oh, Petusa from Spain. Great to have you in the house, Petusa. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. And flowering dogwood still doesn't tell me, Tron. Is there another name for dogwood? I'm completely lost. Has small white flowers. Oh, Hershey, yes, of course. Sadie Birmingham. Thank you. I apologize. I've got there are so many subscribers. I try to remember the names of the subscribers that I interact with regularly or who interact with me. And but it's very, very difficult. I apologize for that. Corners, Florida. Now, I'm sorry, Tron, I am not familiar with that. It's not something that I have come across in the UK. Let me read your question again. Tips for growing a dogwood, and what else? Right, I think dogwood, to bonsai a dogwood, if it's a local species, then same rules apply. You can either get a nursery plant and you follow the method. I may be working on a different tree, but the methods are exactly the same. So if you watch my videos, just learn, ignore the tree that I'm working on, learn the method that I use, and that way you'll be able to make a bonsai out of your nursery plant dogwood. And if it's a collected material, then you have to do a trunk chop, plant it in a big training pot, let it recover, let it grow, and you can then start the process to bonsai. And if you are going to collect trees from nature, you must, I have to say this, you have to have the permission of the landowner, and without that you can get into all sorts of difficulty. I hope that that helps, Tom. Although I'm not familiar with it, but if it's a local species, then it will be no different from oak or any other tree or domed redwood. And you simply follow the process, and you will make it into a bonsai. Now I'm going to have a quick look to see what else has come in. Right. Oh, right, Justin. Okay, that's great. Thank you. And bad habits. Now, what are bad habits? Bad habits are, I like my workstation to be very, very clean and tidy. And I clean up quite a few times during the process. If you see my videos, I'm constantly tidying up the workstation. It's not done on camera, but it's edited out. It's boring. And sometimes I think my videos are too long and I'm trying to condense them and shorten them. viewers get fed up. People don't have much time, and everything's got to be condensed. So, but if you see my videos, I have seen people, they're working, the workstation is untidy, and I've seen people lose, you can lose tools because they've got mixed up with the rubbish that's come out, the soil that's come out, or the pruning that's been done. And so these are some of the things that I'd say bad habits. Also, not doing things properly. And by that I mean there are some basic rules, and you have to follow the very basic rules. And then after that, you can do what you like. And I'll give, earlier I mentioned about following the rules, and then I had to go back to the botanic question, horticultural question. So I'll now revert back to what we were talking about with regards to the styling of trees, and also which involves habits. So once you follow the basic rules, after that you can do pretty much what you like. And as I said, if you're happy with the look and feel of the tree, then that's all that's all that matters. And as far as it comes to styling, there are rules right down to how far apart the branches should be. And I don't particularly care about those rules, because if you follow the rules, it then becomes painting by numbers. So whether somebody's in America, Australia, or Africa, if these three people follow the rules to the letter and they work on 3 different trees in 3 different continents, at the end of a 2 or 3 year period, the 3 trees would look exactly the same. And I prefer my trees to be more natural looking. And I prefer the clip and grow method as opposed to heavily wiring the tree. I do wire the trees from time to time, and that's where wiring is necessary because the branches are in the wrong place. It's like the larch you see in the background. The lowest branches are not in the right place, and this tree had been wired, the wires were removed. The wires have to be removed during the growing season, otherwise they leave very ugly marks on the branches. And this tree will be wired up again in November. The first set of low branches, and also at least 1 or 2, there's 3 branches there, 1 on right, 1 on left, and 1 at the back. And I'm not quite sure, but I will be removing 1 or 2 of those branches, because at the moment it forms what is known as a T-bar effect, where it's like the letter T, if you look at it, and that's not good. So that's a basic rule which I will be following, and then I will be wiring it up so the branches sort of are forced downwards. That's what happens with great big trees, as they grow older, and with winters when the snow falls, the weight of the snow and the weight of the branch, the branches start to sort of bend downwards, and gradually they stay downwards. So with bonsai, we want to create that effect, and that's where I would use the wiring. Let me have a quick look at the live chat comments coming in, and pick up some other comments. Right, Alex, ha ha ha, Alex, very funny. Okay, Alex from Spain. Now, Alex wants to know, what is your favorite bonsai of your collection? Okay, Alex, it varies from the time of the year, and recently the Fuji cherries were in blossom, so they were my favorites, followed by quinces. They were in flower. There are videos on these trees when they were in bloom. And after that, I have a big wisteria. It is in bloom now. And I recently did a video, it's work in progress, and you'll see it in the coming weeks. So that's my favorite right now. It looks absolutely stunning. So and before that, it was the apple trees, and they were in bloom, and the big Nagasaki crabapple was in bloom. So it really depends the time of the year and what the tree looks like. So it changes. I don't have just one particular favorite. I hope that answers your question, Alex. World Wolf. Hi, World Wolf. Vive la France. Great to have you. And do pop a question in. Oh, I see your question. Spirea japonica. Yes, I have a small Spirea japonica which I've had for about 6 years. That's one of the first ones that I added. It was a cheap a sort of nursery tree which I made into a bonsai. I'll probably do a video on an update on that. And it's growing now and is sprouting out new leaves. It's quite a small one, but I have one of those. And if you have any specific questions, Wolf, please feel free to ask. And there's more questions coming in. Let's have a little look. I'm just reverting to my laptop, which is on my left hand side, and in front of me is the Mac with the camera where I'm doing the live stream from. So I'll be with you in a sec. I have David Olson. Hi, David. Great to have you here. And David Olson has written, "Hi, Iqbal. I have an oak from seed come up this spring. When would be best time to put it into ground to grow bigger?" David, you don't say where you are. If you are in Europe, somewhere like Sweden, Norway, it's still pretty cold up there and you can do it now. But if you're somewhere where it's already got very warm, then I would leave it until November. You can do it anytime between November and March when it's colder and the trees are still dormant. I'm just trying to catch up. Hash83 has a question. I have been to a few bonsai shows but haven't seen any weeping willow. Is there any reason? Right, in fact, I can't explain why you haven't seen a weeping willow bonsai, but not many people make them. And I don't know why. I think they are great. I started a weeping willow trees from a branch cutting. In fact, there are videos, I think there are a couple of videos, and which shows the branch that I was given, which was left over from a pruning job by a landscaper, and they root quite easily, and but it takes quite some time to prune to train them, because you're meant to produce a tree, a miniature version of a big tree where all the branches are hanging downwards. Now that's quite a feat, because the trees that I have, the branches are quite thick and they don't behave the way the branches of a big tree behave. Excuse me. And I also have a big willow tree which was in someone's garden, and it snapped into half, and we managed to rescue it. This is about about 2.5, 3 years ago, nearly 4 years ago. Time flies. Anyway, what we have done is the root ball, we reduced it gradually, and I've managed to get into a very big uh, Korean drum mica pot. And also we've reduced the height to about 3 feet. And and it's placed in the big drum pot is then placed in a very large plastic tray which is filled with water. And they like to grow near water, and that's something extra that is needed. I think that may be a reason why it puts some people off, that you always have to keep topping up the water in the tray in which the pot is sitting. And this big willow tree, we've been training it for the last 3.5 years from memory, and the branches are now growing quite well. And I need to put some weights on them. I'll try and do that this summer, so that the branches are like this, and with weights, I hope to get them to start bending downwards. So that is perhaps one of the reasons why we don't see a lot of the weeping willow bonsai trees at shows. I hope that answers your question, Shady 3. Now I'm going to have another look at the chat stream and see what other questions people have. Right, Tron has a question. Weeping willows have huge root systems, don't they? Yes, they do have their big root system, but if you are growing from a cutting, you can control the roots. Basically, if you see my videos, the roots grow radially, and when you are growing from cutting, all you have to do is stick those cuttings into a bucket of water, and they will root. And the only thing is to keep turning it so that the roots grow right round in a radial fashion. If you don't turn it round, all the roots will be on the side which is facing the sun. And when you pot it up, you can control the roots. You can trim the roots, reducing the length of the roots so that you reduce the radial, and so you've reduced the size of the circle of the roots, and pot them up. And every time you repot, that is the process you repeat. So the roots of a bonsai willow tree can be controlled, and they, because of the speed with which they grow, is a big plus. And you end up with an amazing root system for willow trees. I'm going to have a quick look at, there's some more questions here. Mash has a question. The oak tree that I have, I want to make it into a tree, not a bonsai. So if I do not put it in the ground, then would it be best to put it in the spot I want it to be in, or is it best to move it later on? I think if you don't want to bonsai it, you can still grow it as a tree. In that case, I would suggest that you get a large pot, a very large plastic pot, and grow it in that plastic pot. And again, you can secure it by putting create a wire cage to keep the animals away, or create a bamboo sticks and connect them with metal wire at the top, middle, and the bottom, and then place that bamboo curtain around it, and that way it will keep the animals away. So you can do it that way. I have seen bonsai trees with 3-4 inch thick trunk, about 20-25-year-old, being grown in large plastic pots. And the advantage with the plastic pot is that you can move them around. But these are big 7-8 gallon plastic pots. But you can start with a slightly bigger pot than it is in now, and then gradually, as the tree grows, you repot it into a bigger pot every couple of years. Right, let's have a look. Wolf O. Let's have a look. Tron, thank you very much. Right, David, you're in Wales, so you could get away with it if it is still cold there. I am in London, and it's still coldish, but the plants the buds have broken, the trees are in leaf, and the growing season is underway. So I hope that helps you, David. Now let's catch up with some other. Shannon Smith. Very warm welcome to you, Shannon. Welcome to the live stream. Good to have you in the house. Shannon has put a question in. Saw weeping willow videos and very helpful. My trees are perhaps 30 foot and I plan to air layer. I have about 20 trees near a pond in Texas, US, zone 3. Would this be profitable? If these are willow trees, you don't need to air layer them. Just use a saw and take the branch that you want and reduce it to the height that you want the tree to be. And then take a gallon-sized water container or a bucket, fill it up with water and stick the willow in it. And keep it in a shady place, and it will root. It will take between 4 to 6 weeks, and they will root. Just follow the process you have seen in my videos, the very first video on willow trees, and it will work, Shannon. Jeffrey has a comment. I have a young Japanese maple, and I'm wondering when is the best to prune. Right, Jeffrey says, I have a young Japanese maple, and I'm wondering when it's best to prune the spring growth. Should I prune before the second growth in summer or wait for autumn/winter? Jeffrey, very interesting question. Maples are differently pruned, and they have nodes. Nodes is the gap between one set of leaf and the next set of leaf. Now, to prune maples, you need to keep the distance between the nodes short, and if you don't prune them often enough, the new branches will get very thin, long and leggy. So it is best to prune them as sooner rather than later. As soon as you have about 3 sets of leaves, I would prune it back to I would cut the branch between the first set of leaves and the second set of leaves about halfway, and the cut branch will then die back to the first set of leaves, and from the first set of leaves you'll get 2 new branches either way, and you repeat the process. Let those branches develop 3 sets of leaves and then prune it back, leaving 1 set of leaves. So from 1 branch you'll get 2 new branches, and from those 2 new branches you'll get 4 new branches. Repeat the process, and it is geometrical progression. This way you will keep the branches very short and you'll have very good ramification. I hope that makes sense. Now let's catch up with what else is happening here. Hershey, welcome. I'm still catching up with you. Your comments are ahead of me. I'm having trouble with this laptop. Right. Right, great, Shannon. Good. Mash, if I were to make a video, then will you watch and upsave the tree? And I want to make the oak I have in my inside my house into a real tree and not a bonsai. Right, Mash. Yes, if you make a video, put it up on YouTube, and I will have a look and let you have my feedback. I will go to your channel now and make sure that I put notifications, subscribe and put a notification to receive your uploads, right? Okay. Right. Mash, right, Mash, I've just done that. I've just gone and put the subscribe link and also notifications on so that I'll be able to see when you do upload it. And while I was doing that, my chat has disappeared. So I'm not quite sure what's happening now. I can't see the chat. I've lost the chat. So I may have to start another screen to go back to the chat. Just bear with me because I've lost the chat. While I was sorting out mesh, I lost my chat screen. So I'm now going to another screen. Excuse me. Just bear with me. I've got to try and get my chat back. Oh, here it is. Right. Okay, I've got the chat back on another screen. So I'm going to do a pop out. Right, there it is. Okay, I've got this. Yes. Tron, I want to start a video. Yes, you can. Just watch my video and you can start it. It's very, very easy and very easy to implement. So it should be fairly easy for you to do that. Now, Hirsch has a question. Can you collect trees in the summer? No, you can't. Once the growing season is underway, it becomes virtually impossible for them to survive if you disturb the roots. And this is why it's always best to collect the trees from nature or from open land during the months of November to March. And this is when the trees are dormant and they stand a very good chance when you repot them into a big training pot and you have a very, very high success rate when you follow that process. And Mesh, I'm going to pass on that. Right. I get asked that a few times, but I'm going to pass on that. And World Wolf, now I am so sorry I don't follow you Is something about bonsai. Can you do that in English? Or I may have to do a translate. So I'm not quite sure what that comment is. Well, Wolf, if you can, you have good English, so please, if you could do that in English, that would help me a lot. I can't deal with that, Wolf. We've come to the end virtually, and thank you very much for joining. And do join another time. And if you have any last-minute questions, now is the time to pop them in. And Wolf from France, great to have you here. And if you can restate your comment in English, I'll be very happy to deal with it. My French is very, very limited, and so I'm unable to respond to that. John Short has a comment. Let me just quickly read out. I had a Chinese elm that dried up and lost its leaves in the hot weather a few weeks ago. I went away and my parents forgot to water it. This was 5 weeks ago. Right, it's a very, very common story that I hear with people going away, leaving the bonsai trees in someone else's charge, and they forget to water it. Now, the first thing that the tree does is it would drop its leaves, and then if it's still not watered, it'll start shutting down. My suggestion to you is, John, my suggestion to you is just keep watering it. Don't overwater, but water it normally. Make sure that the soil is moist but not soaking wet. And if the tree is alive, in the next 4 to 6 weeks, you will see little green shoots. The other way to check is to take a knife and scrape the trunk, and if underneath is green, you don't have to cut into the tree, but just gently scrape until you remove just a very, very thin paper layer at the top of the trunk. And underneath, if it's green, your tree is still alive. But if it is brown, I'm afraid you've lost the tree. And if it is green, then keep watering it the way you used to water it, so that the soil is moist but not soaking wet, as I said earlier. And the tree will bounce back, and you'll have new growth, and you'll have new sets of leaves in about 4 to 6 weeks. Chinese elms are very forgiving, and provided it's not too late. And some more comments are coming in, so let me have a quick look. Equal 2774. People, you have joined late in the stream, but I am happy to deal with any comments or questions you have. So pop something in, and I'll be happy to help it. John has another question. What's the best way of helping the tree revive itself? I have actually answered that, John. If you follow what I said, provided your tree isn't dead, it will bounce back if you follow the procedures that I've suggested. And also, don't feed it during this period. Just let it recover. And because feeding it and there are no leaves up top, it might, I don't know what it'll do to the tree, but it's not good to feed it when there's nothing up top. Let me have another look at the chat stream. Shannon, thanks for doing a live show. I will watch when I get notification. That's great, Shannon. Good to have you. And I will do these more regularly. You don't read French? Well, Wolf, I am so sorry. I'm ashamed you put me to shame. I had a house in Burgundy near Beaune for many, many years, but unfortunately, I didn't speak much French. I was married then, and I'm divorced now. My ex-wife spoke wonderful French, so I didn't unfortunately learn much. My apologies. Bonsai Moldova. I have one who wait that weeping willow, new videos. Uh, right, okay, good. Bonsai Moldova has recently done a video on his bonsai trees, so that's another place you can watch them. Right, folks, unless there is anything else, this stream has gone on for much longer. I was hoping to keep it short this time, but it has gone a lot longer, and it is okay. I also have clients coming. I'm working on other people's bonsai trees, and so I've got quite a few trees to work on today. It's going to get busy, so I've got my first appointment at 9 o'clock, and which is 20 minutes from now, so I will have to get going. I'll have a quick look at the live chat stream and see if there's any comments that need answering, and after that we will close this live stream. Let me have a quick look. Right, John, I am trying very hard. The live streams I'm using Open Broadcast System, OBS, for the live stream, which is then linked into YouTube. So you have to use another software for the broadcast, and then it hooks into the YouTube channels. And I've had a lot of issues with this live stream. What I will try to do is I will try and do one again in the next few days, and I'll put up I will schedule it sometime today, so you know when the next one is going to be. Even today, I scheduled this one last night, but this was meant to be for the Bonsai Society in Pakistan, in Lahore. They wanted to connect with me, and unfortunately, I'm not quite sure, something's gone wrong because none of them turned up. Yet 7 of them indicated that they would come. And apologies for that. It's technology. It will settle down. I think this is about the 4th or the 5th one that I've done. And every time there is some sort of an issue. Today the camera won't work. And then Tony Bonsai, he's in Thailand. He's got a bonsai channel. And he was here earlier, and they could just hear me. And the screen was completely black. And his suggestion was to turn the lights on, which I thought was very funny. But lighting was not the issue, it was the camera. Then he had a brainwave and he said, reboot the computer. Very simple solution, and it worked. And I didn't think of it because I was here, I was panicking. And Tony, as a viewer in Thailand, he said, well, reboot the computer. And I did that and it worked. So John, I will try and do that. I appreciate your feedback. And I bid you all a very good day. Have a very good Sunday wherever you are. And if you're in the East, for what's left of the day. And if you're in England or west of me, then we've got the whole day ahead of us. Thank you very much for joining this live stream. And I look forward to seeing you again in the next one. And I bid you all goodbye for now.